Lena had always loved Easter. The pastel colors, the scent of fresh flowers, and the childhood joy of egg hunts were some of her fondest memories. This year, she decided to spend the holiday weekend alone at her late grandmother's countryside home. The old house, nestled in a quiet, wooded area, had been uninhabited for over a year. But Lena thought it would be the perfect place to disconnect and find some peace. Or at least, that's what she had hoped. She arrived on Friday afternoon. The sun was beginning to dip behind the trees, casting long shadows on the gravel driveway. The house creaked with age as she stepped inside. Dust covered the furniture, and cobwebs clung to the corners of the ceiling. She spent most of the evening cleaning and organizing, her thoughts drifting to warm childhood memories spent in that very house. That night, the wind howled through the trees, and Lena thought she heard footsteps on the porch. But when she looked out, there was no one there, only the faint imprint of what looked like a muddy boot near the welcome mat. Saturday morning brought sunshine, birdsong, and a renewed sense of calm. Lena decided to hide a few Easter eggs around the property, just for nostalgia's sake. She smiled as she placed a plastic egg in a flower pot and another in the crook of a tree branch. It was silly, but it made her feel like a kid again. That evening, she cooked a simple dinner and settled in with a book by the fireplace. The quiet was comforting until she heard it again. Footsteps, unmistakable this time, moving slowly across the porch. She froze. The doorknob rattled slightly. Her heart thudded in her chest. Gathering courage, Lena approached the front door and yanked it open, only to find nothing. But this time there was something different. Sitting neatly on the doormat was a single plastic Easter egg. It hadn't been there before. Nervously, Lena picked it up. It was one of the same eggs she had hidden earlier that day. But inside was no candy or toy. Instead, there was a small piece of paper. On it, in childlike handwriting, were the words, "I'm coming to find you." She locked every door and window and kept the lights on all night, but the unease didn't go away. Around 3 a.m., she heard rustling outside. She peeked through the window and saw movement between the trees. A tall figure dressed in a full white bunny costume was standing just at the edge of the woods, illuminated only by the moonlight. Its head slowly turned to face the house. Lena stumbled back from the window, her breathing shallow. She dialed the local sheriff's office, but the dispatcher seemed dismissive. "Ma'am, probably just a neighbor playing a prank. It's Easter weekend. Kids get weird." She didn't sleep. Morning came, and the figure was gone. Lena debated packing up and leaving, but something told her she needed to stay, to understand what was happening. She found more eggs that day, scattered around the property, each with increasingly disturbing messages. "Do you remember me? I never got my candy. Let's play one more game." Each egg was warm to the touch, as if someone had just placed it moments before. Later that evening, Lena found the cellar door slightly open. It had been shut the entire time she was there. Holding her breath, she descended the creaking stairs with a flashlight. At the bottom, she found a mess of papers, broken toys, and a faded photograph of her as a child, standing next to a boy in a bunny mask. She couldn't remember the photo being taken. She couldn't even remember the boy. Suddenly, a soft creaking sound echoed behind her. She turned, and there, standing halfway down the stairs, was the bunny-suited figure. The mask was cracked. Its eyes, real now, stared through the openings with intensity and hatred. Lena bolted past it, sprinting up the stairs and out of the house. She didn't stop running until she reached a neighbor's farm, screaming for help. The police searched the house thoroughly but found no sign of anyone else. But the eggs remained, and in the cellar they found a nest of them. Hundreds of plastic eggs, all empty, all arranged in a perfect spiral. Lena never returned to the house, but the photo was real. The boy, they later discovered, had gone missing from the town decades ago. His body was never found, and every Easter since, Lena receives a plastic egg at her doorstep. No return address, no sender, only a note that reads, "Still playing. Like and subscribe now. Are you brave enough to join the hunt?" Jordan was a night manager at a local supermarket in a small town in Oregon. The Easter weekend was always a little busier, with people grabbing last-minute candy and decorations. His job wasn't glamorous, but he liked the quietness of the night shift. That and the lack of customers made the hours pass faster. One Easter Sunday, Jordan was finishing up some paperwork in the back office around 3 a.m. The store was closed to the public, and only a couple of other employees were doing stock in the aisles. The security monitors flickered in front of him, showing different parts of the store. That's when he noticed something strange. In the candy aisle, there was a person standing perfectly still. The monitor's black and white feed made it hard to make out details, but the person appeared to be wearing a rabbit mask and a tattered suit. At first, Jordan assumed it was a coworker messing around, but something about the stillness made his stomach twist. He radioed the two stalkers. "You guys playing dress-up or something? Someone's in the candy aisle wearing a bunny mask." Both employees replied almost simultaneously, saying they were in completely different parts of the store. Jordan switched to the camera for the aisle. The figure was gone. Thinking the system might be glitching, Jordan left the office and went to check it out himself. The aisle was empty. No one. But what he did find was a single large chocolate Easter egg placed perfectly in the center of the floor. It wasn't store stock. This one looked old. The wrapper was faded and brittle. Against his better judgment, Jordan picked it up. The chocolate was strangely soft. Curious, he peeled away the wrapping and nearly dropped it. Inside the egg was a small human tooth. He stared at it for a long time before finally placing it in a plastic bag and returning to the office. He checked the tapes again. The footage now showed nothing out of the ordinary. No masked figure, no egg. That's when the lights started flickering. One by one, security monitors began to shut off. The radio static turned loud and aggressive, and Jordan could swear he heard whispers in between the static. Then the office door creaked open. No one was there, but the hallway lights had gone completely dark. Panicking now, Jordan left the office and started calling out for his coworkers. No response. He walked aisle by aisle, his voice echoing eerily. Then near the freezer section, he saw them, both stalkers, standing motionless, their eyes wide in fear, looking at something behind him. Jordan turned slowly. The bunny-masked figure was back. But now it wasn't just a mask. Its eyes moved. Its breath was visible in the cold air. It tilted its head slowly like a curious animal. He shouted, and the figure darted inhumanly fast out of sight. Jordan grabbed his coworkers and ran to the front doors, but they were locked tight, even though the override should have opened them. They backed into the manager's office and called 911. The police arrived 15 minutes later. No one else was found in the store. The chocolate egg had vanished, and the security footage erased. Weeks later, Jordan quit the job. He moved to a different city. But every Easter, like clockwork, he receives a chocolate egg in the mail. No return address, always cracked open, and always with something inside. Like and subscribe now. Are you brave enough to join the hunt? Cassie had always been skeptical of local legends, especially the one about the so-called Bunny Burrow near the outskirts of town. It was just an old drainage tunnel, partially collapsed and covered in graffiti, nestled behind the woods near her high school. Teenagers swore that if you entered it on Easter night, You'd hear scratching from deep within the walls, and sometimes the voice of a child calling out for help. She thought it was all nonsense. So when her friend group dared her to spend 10 minutes inside the tunnel on Easter night, she laughed and accepted without hesitation. "It's just a hole in the ground," she said. "What's it gonna do, hop at me?" The night air was cold. Cassie arrived with a flashlight, a thermos of coffee, and her phone to record the whole thing for proof. Her friend stayed behind at the trailhead, shouting encouragements and laughing as she ducked under the rusted metal gate. The tunnel smelled of mold and rot. Moss clung to the damp walls, and broken glass crunched beneath her boots. She set a timer for 10 minutes and walked deeper inside, the beam of her flashlight cutting through the thick darkness. 2 minutes in, she thought she heard something, soft scuttling. Rats, maybe. Then came a faint giggle. Cassie froze. She turned off her flashlight, listening. Silence. She turned it back on, and that's when she saw the first one. A small Easter egg, pale pink, sitting perfectly in the center of the tunnel. She hadn't brought it. No one had. Curious, she picked it up and opened it. Inside was a wad of human hair tied with a ribbon. Cassie dropped it immediately. "Okay, very funny," she called out, convinced her friends were playing a prank. "You got me. Super creepy." But no one answered. She turned to head back, but the tunnel now stretched longer than it had when she entered. The light from the entrance had vanished, only darkness ahead and behind. Her phone had no signal. Her breath quickened. She started walking faster, but the ground beneath her feet felt strange, softer, almost like fur. That's when the scratching started. From within the walls, first a whisper, then louder, then something screamed. Not a human scream, something wrong. Cassie bolted, but as she ran, she passed more and more Easter eggs, each one cracked open. Feathers, teeth, tiny shoes, and then a doll's eye blinking. Suddenly a shape darted in front of her, low to the ground, fast. Her flashlight flickered. She heard a whisper directly behind her. "You're not supposed to be here." She turned, and there it was, a pale, hunched figure, its face hidden beneath a cracked rabbit mask. Blood smeared the edges. It tilted its head, and its voice was like that of a child and an old man all at once. "New eggs are better when they're fresh." Cassie screamed and lunged past it. She ran blindly until she burst out into the open air, collapsing near her friends, sobbing. They thought she was faking it, until they saw the hair in her hands, not hers. Blonde, curly, still warm. That tunnel was later searched. Deep inside, police found remnants of small toys, bones no bigger than a child's, and hundreds of plastic eggs. But no one, no thing was there. Cassie never returned to that forest.